Chosen one, when was the last time you felt it? That cold dread at 3 in the morning when you jolted awake thinking about her. When was the last time you stared at your phone, wondering if you should call, wondering if she's really okay? And tell me, when did you stop believing that God still answers a parent's desperate prayer? Stop scrolling. This is about your daughter, and this Saturday, everything changes. Not next month, not when you finally figure it out, not when she gets her life together, or when the world stops being cruel. This Saturday, I didn't say it to shock you. I said it because the realm of the Spirit has been counting down to this moment since before you even knew her name. Listen to me. This is not coincidence. The fact that you're hearing my voice right now, the fact that something in your chest tightened the second I said your daughter, that's not algorithm. That's assignment. Heaven intercepted your scroll because there's a divine collision coming, and you need to be ready. Her life is about to erupt like thunder cracking through midnight silence. Everything she's carried, the pain, the confusion, the silent battles you've watched her fight, it's all been preparation. And this Saturday marks the shift, the breaking, the moment heaven says, enough, it's her time. But here's what's going to shake you. You're part of it. Not just a witness, a bridge. Every prayer you whispered when she couldn't hear you, every tear you shed in secret, every moment you stood in the gap when the enemy tried to destroy her, it wasn't wasted. Not one word, not one cry. And now, this Saturday, you're going to see why you had to hold on. Before we go deeper, and we are going deep, I want to pause and honor something. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message is already resonating with your soul, go ahead and let heaven know you're listening. Now, if your spirit already feels this word pressing into your chest, if something just shifted when I said this Saturday, type 99 inches, the comments right now. That's not superstition. That's agreement. That's you telling the heavens, I'm ready to receive what you're about to release. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. You're not just clicking a button, you're joining a family of faith. And what's about to unfold, you're going to want to be here for it. This Saturday, chosen one. The countdown has already begun. And your daughter, she's at the center of something sacred, something unstoppable, something that's about to change everything. Let's go. You ever look at your daughter and wonder why she's always been different? Why she feels things nobody else seems to feel. Why she cries over strangers' pain like it's her own. Why the world called her too sensitive when you knew deep down she was carrying something the rest of us couldn't see. Let me tell you something that's going to stop your heart and restart it at the same time. Her birth was not random. She didn't just happen because two people fell in love on a summer night in 1985. She didn't arrive by biological accident or cosmic chance. Your daughter is a divine assignment wrapped in flesh. A living scroll written by heaven before the stars learned their names. And every single thing she's endured, every tear she's cried, every moment she felt like she didn't belong, it was all preparation for this Saturday. You've seen it, haven't you? The signs. The way animals gravitate toward her like she's made of light. The way she knows things before they happen. The way her presence shifts a room even when she says nothing. The way people either love her instantly or reject her violently because neutral doesn't exist around anointing. She's not a child of chance. She's a key cut by God's own hand, designed to unlock doors this generation doesn't even know are sealed. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what keeps me up at night praying for parents like you. You've worried in silence for her, haven't you? You've laid awake at 3 in the morning wondering if your prayers ever reached the sky, wondering if God saw her struggling and just looked away. You've whispered her name into the darkness so many times you lost count. You've begged heaven to protect her when you couldn't. You've cried tears nobody ever saw, carrying a weight no parent should carry alone. And the enemy, the enemy saw it too. He saw her before she could walk. He recognized the frequency of her spirit before she could speak her own name. That's why the attack started early. That's why her childhood was harder than it should have been. That's why confusion followed her like a shadow. That's why relationships betrayed her. That's why doors slammed shut just when breakthrough seemed close. You thought she was cursed, but she was targeted. There's a difference. Curses fall on the forgotten. Targets are marked on the dangerous. Think about Moses. Pharaoh didn't order the massacre of Hebrew boys because they were weak. He ordered it because he feared what they'd become. Exodus 1:22 says, "Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, 'Every Hebrew boy that is born you must throw into the Nile.'" The enemy doesn't waste energy destroying nobodies. He goes after the deliverers while they're still in diapers. Your daughter survived what was meant to kill her, and that's survival. That wasn't luck, that was assignment. But let me take you deeper. Let me show you something the natural eye can't see. Every prayer you ever prayed over her, every desperate, broken, barely coherent cry you whispered when you didn't even have words, it didn't disappear into the void. Revelation 5-8 tells us the prayers of the saints are stored in golden bowls before the throne of God. Golden bowls, not forgotten, not ignored, stored, collected, kept. And this Saturday, those bowls are about to tip over. You've been praying for years, maybe decades. You prayed when she was 5 and the nightmares wouldn't stop. You prayed when she was 16 and the depression swallowed her whole. You prayed when she was 25 and you watched her lose herself in all the wrong places. You prayed when she stopped calling, when she stopped believing, when she looked at you with eyes that didn't recognize hope anymore. And you thought those prayers bounced off heaven's ceiling like stones thrown at steel. But they didn't bounce, they accumulated. Every single word you spoke in faith has been building spiritual pressure in the realm you cannot see. And this Saturday, not next month, not next year, this Saturday, that pressure breaks, the bowl tips, the breakthrough erupts, and everything you've been praying for is about to manifest in ways that will leave you on your knees in worship. I'm talking about a shift so profound, so undeniable, that even people who don't believe in God will have to admit something supernatural just happened. I'm talking about clarity where there was confusion, peace where there was torment, purpose where there was aimlessness, doors opening that have been welded shut for generations. But you need to understand something critical right now. This isn't happening to her. This is happening through her. And you, yes, you are part of the plan. You are not a bystander. You are a bridge. You are the one who held the line when hell tried to take her out. You are the intercessor who wouldn't let go, even when your faith felt like sand slipping through your fingers. Psalm 127:3 says, "Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him." But that word heritage in Hebrew is nachalah. It means an inheritance, a possession, something passed down with purpose. She's not just your daughter, she's your spiritual inheritance, the manifestation of your faithfulness, the living proof that God answers the prayers you prayed in secret. This Saturday, the veil lifts. This Saturday, she steps into a revelation of who she's always been, underneath the lies, the trauma, the fear. This Saturday, you're going to see with your own eyes what heaven has been whispering to your spirit for years. She was chosen, she was marked, she was sent, and so were you. If you feel this word burning in your chest right now, if something just clicked and you finally understand why the road's been so hard, drop "she's chosen" in the comments. Let heaven know you believe it. Let the enemy know you're done agreeing with his lies. Let your daughter's destiny know that you're standing in agreement with what God is about to do. Because what happens this Saturday isn't just about her breakthrough, it's about yours too. When she rises, you rise. When she's restored, you're restored. When she steps into her calling, your legacy becomes unshakable. But here's the question that's going to determine everything. Are you ready to see her the way heaven sees her? Are you ready to stop seeing the struggle and start seeing the assignment? Are you ready to believe that the same God who parted the Red Sea is about to part every obstacle standing between your daughter and her destiny? Because Saturday's coming whether you're ready or not. And when it arrives, nothing will ever be the same again. You want to know something that's going to cut you open right where you've been bleeding in secret? Every attack you faced in the last 5 years, every sudden financial crisis, every health scare that came out of nowhere, every relationship that inexplicably turned toxic, it wasn't really about you. It was about her. Hell didn't come after you because you were weak. Hell came after you because your daughter was being prepared for something so powerful, so world-shifting, that the enemy had to try and break her before she even knew who she was, and the only way to get to her was through you. Think about it. When did the warfare intensify? Was it right around the time she started asking deeper questions? Right when she began pulling away from the crowd? Right when something in her spirit started waking up, even though she couldn't name it yet? You felt it. You knew something was shifting. But what you didn't know was that the realm of darkness was watching too. And they panicked, because hell recognized her glow before she did. Let me take you to the book of Exodus. When Pharaoh saw that the Hebrew people were multiplying, what did he do? He didn't wait for Moses to grow up and challenge him. No, he ordered every male child under 2 years old to be slaughtered. Why? Because tyrants don't wait for threats to mature. They attack the seed. They attack the bloodline. They attack the next generation before it can rise. Your daughter is that next generation. And the enemy has been trying to kill her, calling since she was a child. You remember those years, don't you? The ones nobody talks about at family dinners, the rebellion that made no sense, the depression that came like a fog and wouldn't lift, the friends who dragged her down roads you couldn't follow, the nights you sat in your car outside her school, outside her apartment, outside wherever she was, just praying, just crying, just begging God not to let her go. How many nights did you cry into your pillow so she wouldn't hear? How many mornings did you smile at church while dying inside? How many times did someone ask, "How's your daughter?" and you lied through your teeth because the truth was too heavy to say out loud? You thought you were failing. You thought God wasn't listening. You thought maybe you'd done something wrong as a parent, said the wrong thing, pushed too hard, or not hard enough. And the guilt, the guilt, it sat on your chest like a stone, didn't it? But here's what heaven wants you to know right now. Every tear you cried, it became armor around her spirit. Every prayer you whispered in desperation, it built a hedge of protection the enemy couldn't penetrate. Every time you stood in the gap when she didn't even know you were standing there, you were doing warfare that angels took notes on. You weren't failing, you were fighting. And you were winning battles she'll never know about until glory. Listen to what Paul said in Ephesians 6:12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age. You weren't just dealing with teenage rebellion or bad decisions. You were standing on a battlefield most people don't even know exists. And while the world told you it was just a phase, heaven knew it was an assassination attempt on her destiny. But she's still here. And so are you. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's proof that your prayers were louder than hell's schemes. Now let me tell you why this Saturday matters so much. The enemy threw everything he had at her because he knew a countdown was coming. He knew there was a divine appointment on heaven's calendar, with her name written in blood-red ink. He knew that once she stepped into this next season, once the veil lifted and she saw herself the way God sees her, there would be no stopping what comes next. So he tried to take her out early. He tried to make her believe she was worthless. He tried to convince her that her pain was proof she was cursed. He sent people into her life to confuse her, to wound her, to make her think love was supposed to hurt. He whispered lies so long and so loud that she started to believe them as truth. But you didn't give up. Even when it looked hopeless, even when she pushed you away, Even when she said things that cut you to the bone, you held the line, you kept praying, you kept believing. And that stubborn, relentless, no matter what kind of love, that's the love that breaks curses. That's the love that shifts atmospheres. That's the love that makes demons flee. Your tears weren't wasted. Your sleepless nights weren't pointless. Your heartbreak wasn't for nothing. It was all seed. And this Saturday, you're going to see the harvest break through the ground. Job lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health. And in his darkest hour, his own wife told him to curse God and die. But Job said something that echoes through eternity: "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." And at the end of his story, God didn't just restore what was lost. He doubled it. He gave Job twice as much as he had before. That's your story too. This Saturday marks the beginning of your double portion, not just for you, for her. Every year the enemy tried to steal is being given back with interest. Every moment of confusion is about to be replaced with clarity. Every wound is about to become a weapon. Not one prayer was wasted. This Saturday proves it. Now I need you to do something. If you're sitting there and your chest is tight because you know that every midnight tear, every desperate plea, every moment you stood in the gap was seed and not failure, I need you to write 2 words in the comments right now. Not wasted. Don't overthink it. Don't wait. Write it. Because when you declare it, you're not just typing words, you're making a prophetic announcement. You're agreeing with heaven. You're calling things that are not as though they are. And hell has to honor that declaration. Write it now. Not wasted. Because what's about to happen this Saturday didn't start this week. It started the first time you prayed over her crib. It started the first time you covered her in the middle of the night. It started every single time you refused to let go. Even when letting go seemed easier, you held on. And because you held on, she's still here, still breathing, still standing, still chosen. And now it's her turn to see what you've been seeing all along. Let me tell you something that's going to shake the foundation of everything you thought you knew about timing. This Saturday is not just another day on your kitchen calendar. It's not another weekend where you meal prep and catch up on laundry while the world spins on. This Saturday has been marked in heaven's calendar since before the stars knew their names. It is a divine appointment, a holy shift, and your daughter is at the center of it. I know what you're thinking. Saturday, that's just 4 days away. How can everything change in 4 days? But that's exactly the point. God doesn't need your permission to move. He doesn't need months of preparation or years of therapy or the perfect circumstances. When heaven decides it's time, it's time. And chosen one, the countdown clock in the spiritual realm just hit 0. Do you remember the story of Lazarus? 4 days dead, wrapped in burial clothes, laid in a tomb. Everyone had given up. Even his own sisters said, "Lord, by now there is a stench." 4 days. That's all it took for the world to declare it over. But Jesus showed up and said 3 words that shattered death itself. "Lazarus, come forth." And the dead man walked out. Not gradually, not eventually, immediately. Your daughter has been in her own tomb, maybe not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You've watched her wrapped in confusion, bound by insecurity, sealed behind walls of pain you couldn't break through. And you've wondered if it's too late, if the damage is too deep, if the years of struggle have stolen too much. But this Saturday, heaven is speaking the same 3 words over her life. Come forth. She will not stay where she is. She cannot. Because when God sets a date, hell itself has to back down. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to start seeing shifts you can't explain. She will speak differently, not louder, but clearer. Words will come out of her mouth that sound beyond her years, beyond her experience. You'll pause mid-conversation and think, where did that come from? That's not random, that's divine download. Her soul is remembering what was placed inside her before her first breath, before the world told her who she should be. before trauma tried to rewrite her identity. She's remembering her original design. In Jeremiah 1-5, God said, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart." Set apart. Not suggested, not considered. Set apart. Your daughter was marked before she ever cried her first cry. And this Saturday, that mark is becoming visible. Not to everyone, but to those with eyes to see. To you. You'll notice her thinking clearer. The fog that's been clouding her mind, the confusion that's kept her stuck in cycles, the mental noise that's drowned out her intuition. It's lifting. She's going to make decisions that shock you. Not reckless decisions, righteous ones, bold ones. Decisions that prove she's no longer asking the world's permission to become who God called her to be. And here's where it gets deeper. That boldness you're about to see, don't mistake it for rebellion. This is not teenage defiance. This is not her losing her way. This is revelation. This is her spirit finally breaking free from the chains of people-pleasing performance and fear. For too long, she's dimmed her light to make others comfortable. For too long, she's shrunk herself to fit into spaces that were never meant for her. But this Saturday marks the breaking of an invisible chain, the end of a silent curse, the start of a new prophetic chapter. Let me ask you something that's going to cut close to the bone. How many times have you looked at your daughter and felt helpless? How many nights have you lain awake wondering if your prayers were even reaching heaven? How many times have you questioned if you failed her, if you could have done more, said more, been more? I need you to hear this. Your prayers didn't bounce off the ceiling. They've been building in heaven like interest in a divine account. And this Saturday, the withdrawal begins. Every tear you cried over her, collected. Every desperate plea, recorded. Every moment you stood in the gap when the enemy tried to destroy her, counted. Not 1 second was wasted. Psalm 56:8 says, "You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book?" God doesn't forget. He doesn't overlook. And now, He's about to show you why you had to hold on when letting go felt easier. This Saturday, she will carry a new authority. People will feel it before they understand it. Rooms will shift when she enters. Conversations will pause when she speaks. Not because she's trying to dominate, but because her presence will carry the weight of someone who's been through fire and came out refined. She's not stepping into opinion. She's stepping into destiny. And when she shifts, your whole bloodline shifts with her. Do you understand what that means? This is not just about her healing. This is generational. Every ancestor who prayed for breakthrough, every grandmother who interceded, every relative who believed there had to be more than the cycle of pain they were trapped in, they were prophesying over this moment, over her. And now, their prayers are being answered through her elevation. But here's the part that will wreck you in the best way. As she rises, something in you rises too. The exhaustion you've carried, it's going to lift. The weight you've borne for years, it's going to ease. Because when God restores one, He restores the whole lineage. Isaiah 61 doesn't just talk about beauty for ashes. It talks about the rebuilding of ancient ruins, the restoration of places long devastated. That's your family line. That's your legacy. And it starts this Saturday. You're going to see subtle signs before the full manifestation. Pay attention. Watch her eyes. There will be moments when they carry a depth that wasn't there before. Listen to her voice. It will hold a steadiness that years of therapy couldn't produce. Notice her posture. She will walk like someone who finally knows her worth. And chosen one, when you see these signs, don't question them. Don't dismiss them as coincidence or wishful thinking. Receive them as confirmation. Heaven is moving. The shift is real. And you are bearing witness to something sacred. If you're ready for Saturday's shift, if your spirit is already leaning in, already agreeing with what heaven is declaring over your daughter's life, then declare it right now. Type it in the comments. Say it out loud. Let the spiritual realm hear your agreement. It begins with her. Because what begins with her doesn't end with her. It ripples, it spreads, it transforms everything it touches. But there's something else you need to understand. Something the enemy doesn't want you to know. And it's the key to why this Saturday is so critical. You know what nobody tells you about raising a daughter? They don't tell you that every scar you carried in silence became a seed planted in her future. They don't tell you that the nights you cried alone when the bills didn't add up, when the marriage fell apart, when your own parents failed you, those weren't wasted tears. Those were investments. Sacred deposits into a generational account that's about to pay dividends you never imagined. Look at your hands right now. Go ahead, look at them. Those hands have worked jobs that broke your back. Those hands have wiped tears from her face when she was too young to understand why life hurt. Those hands have folded in prayer at kitchen tables, hospital waiting rooms, in cars parked outside her school. And you thought those prayers bounced off the ceiling, didn't you? You thought God wasn't listening because the breakthrough didn't come when you demanded it. But here's what heaven was doing while you were waiting. God was building something in her that could only be forged through fire. And you, chosen one, you were the crucible, not the problem. The vessel. You weren't failing her when you struggled. You were modeling survival. You weren't damaging her when you showed your wounds. You were teaching her that scars don't disqualify you from destiny, they credential you for it. Her wounds are not shame, they are credentials. Every time she watched you get back up after life knocked you down, she was learning resurrection. Every time she saw you choose forgiveness when bitterness would have been easier, she was learning grace. Every time you stayed when leaving would have made sense, she was learning covenant. You think she wasn't paying attention. She was absorbing everything. And now, this Saturday, all of that silent teaching is about to manifest in ways that will leave you speechless. But let me take you deeper. Let me show you something about legacy that most people never see. Exodus 20:6 says, God shows love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. 1,000 generations, not just your daughter, not just her children. 1,000. That means every act of obedience you performed in secret, every moment, you chose God over comfort, truth over convenience, faith over fear. It didn't just affect you, it sent shockwaves forward through time. Your grandmother's prayers, they're landing on your daughter this Saturday. Your mother's tears, they're watering seeds in soil you can't even see yet. And your obedience, it's building a highway for her to run on without the same obstacles that broke your ankles. This is what the enemy feared. This is why the warfare against your family has been so vicious. He saw the pattern. He saw what happens when one generation refuses to quit. He saw what happens when a parent stands in the gap long enough for heaven to move. And he tried, how he tried to destroy her before she could step into this moment. But he failed. Because you wouldn't let him win. You are more than a parent. You are the generational gatekeeper. God didn't randomly assign you to her life. He chose you specifically because he knew you had the strength to carry her through hell until she was ready to walk through fire on her own. Think about Moses. Exodus 2 tells us his mother hid him for 3 months when Pharaoh ordered all Hebrew boys killed. 3 months of terror. 3 months of whispering lullabies while genocide raged outside her door. And then she had to let him go. Put him in a basket. Trust the river. Trust God. She couldn't see the future. She couldn't see that her son would deliver an entire nation. All she could do was her part. And it was enough. That's you. You couldn't see this Saturday coming. You couldn't see past the report cards, the rebellion, the nights she didn't come home, the phone calls from schools and hospitals and police stations. All you could do was your part. Hold the line. Keep praying. Refuse to give up. And now, God is about to show you why it mattered. Your scars became seeds. And those seeds are about to break through concrete. Here's what's going to happen. As your daughter steps into her transformation this Saturday, people are going to start asking questions. They're going to look at her and wonder what changed. They're going to see the confidence, the clarity, the authority she suddenly carries. And some of them, maybe even you, will trace it back and realize it started with a choice you made 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe even before she was born. Maybe it was the day you decided to stop the cycle of abuse, the day you chose sobriety, the day you forgave your father, the day you walked away from that toxic relationship, the day you got on your knees and said, "God, I don't know how to do this, but I'm not giving up." That day, that moment, that decision, it just activated this Saturday. Her fire is your fire, carried forward. But understand this. What's about to happen isn't just about her feeling better or getting her life together. This is about nations, generations, bloodlines. Isaiah 61:4 says, "They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations." Your daughter is a rebuilder, and what she's about to rebuild isn't just her own life. It's the ruins in your family tree, the devastation that's been passed down for generations, the cycles of poverty, addiction, abuse, abandonment. She's the one who breaks it, not because she's perfect, because she's positioned, and you positioned her. Your yes became her yes, your obedience built her foundation. Every time you stayed faithful when faith didn't make sense, you were laying bricks. Every time you worshipped in the wilderness, you were clearing ground. Every time you declared God's promises over her when her behavior said otherwise, you were speaking her future into existence. This Saturday, that future arrives. Now here's where I need you to really hear me. What once broke you is about to build her, and what once silenced her will now awaken nations. The depression you battled in your 40s, it taught you empathy she'll use to counsel broken souls. The financial devastation you endured, it taught you faith she'll preach from platforms you'll never stand on. The betrayal that almost destroyed your marriage, it taught you forgiveness she'll model to a generation that's forgotten how to forgive. Nothing was wasted. Nothing. If you're ready to see your family name restored in glory, if you're ready to watch heaven turn your mourning into dancing, your ashes into beauty, comment legacy right now. Don't just read this. Participate. Because when you declare it, something shifts in the spirit realm. When you say legacy, you're not just typing a word, you're making a covenant with eternity. This Saturday is the threshold, but the journey doesn't end there. It begins there. And everything you've been through was preparation for what comes next. You need to understand something that's going to cut straight through everything you thought you knew about your daughter's struggle. This Saturday isn't just another day on the calendar. This isn't about her finally getting a break or things getting a little easier. No. What's coming is a generational unveiling, a cosmic realignment that's been brewing in the heavens since your grandmother first whispered prayers over your family line. Your daughter carries something that terrifies the kingdom of darkness. She doesn't just carry your DNA, chosen one. She carries divine assignment, and the enemy has known it longer than you have. Let me tell you why her life has been so hard. Why she's faced battles that other girls her age never had to fight. Why depression hit her like a freight train. Why betrayal found her when she was most vulnerable. Why every door she approached seemed to slam shut just as her hand touched the handle. It wasn't random. It was strategic warfare against a bloodline that hell knew would produce a deliverer. Look at Exodus 1:22. Pharaoh didn't order the death of every Egyptian baby, just the Hebrew boys. Why? Because he knew something was coming. He could feel it in the spiritual atmosphere. A deliverer was about to be born, and if he didn't stop it early, his entire kingdom would crumble. So he attacked the generation before the breakthrough could manifest. That's your daughter. That's why the attacks started young. That's why she's carried weight that made no sense for her age. Hell saw her before you even understood what you were raising. But here's what the enemy didn't count on: you held the line. Every night you stayed awake praying when you were exhausted. Every time you stood in the gap when she couldn't stand for herself. Every moment you refused to give up on her, even when the world told you she was too far gone. You were doing more than parenting. You were performing spiritual warfare over a bloodline that was under siege. And now, this Saturday, the siege breaks. She is about to step into a frequency that most people never access in their entire lifetime. I'm talking about the kind of spiritual authority that makes demons tremble. The kind of clarity that cuts through decades of generational confusion. The kind of voice that speaks and things shift not because she's loud, but because heaven backs her words. Isaiah 61:1 says, "The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives." That was written about Jesus. But here's what most people miss. Jesus said in John 14:12, "Whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these." Your daughter is about to walk into that anointing, not because she's perfect, not because she's earned it, but because she's chosen. And chosen ones don't get comfortable callings, they get transformational ones. Her scars are not going to be hidden anymore. They're going to become her ministry. Every wound she's carried in silence is about to become a doorway of healing for others. That depression she fought, it's going to give her the language to pull someone else out of the pit. That betrayal that nearly destroyed her, it's going to teach her how to recognize wolves in sheep's clothing and protect an entire generation from the same trap. That rejection she felt from people who should have loved her, it's going to make her a safe place for the rejected, the overlooked, the forgotten. She is a lighthouse for the wandering, a compass for the lost, a living map for those who've been walking in circles for years, wondering if there's a way out. But there's something bigger happening here that you need to see. This isn't just about her healing. This is about generational breaking. The fire she carries, and she does carry fire, chosen one. Whether she knows it yet or not, that fire is about to melt chains that have held your family for decades, maybe even centuries. Think about the patterns you've seen repeated. The addiction that showed up in your grandfather, your father, and tried to show up in her. The depression that haunted your mother, your aunt, and came knocking on her door. The poverty mindset that convinced 3 generations they'd never have enough. The fear that whispered, "Don't dream too big, don't hope too much, you'll only be disappointed." All of it, every chain, every curse, every demonic assignment that's been passed down like a poisoned inheritance, it ends with her. Not because she's stronger than you were, but because she's standing on your shoulders. Because your prayers built a platform she's about to leap from. Galatians 3:13-14 declares, "Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us, so that the blessing given to Abraham might come to the Gentiles through Christ Jesus." That blessing isn't just forgiveness, it's freedom. It's the breaking of every cycle that's tried to repeat itself in your bloodline. And this Saturday, that freedom activates in her life in a way that ripples backward and forward. Backward, healing wounds in your family tree that go back further than you can trace. Forward, setting a standard for her children, her grandchildren, every descendant that will carry her DNA. She's not just being healed, she's becoming the hinge that swings your entire family line into a new reality. Let me say this plainly, because time is too short for religious language that sounds pretty but doesn't land. This Saturday is the breaking of the silent curse. This is the resurrection of her true voice, the one that's been buried under shame, fear, and the lies of a world that tried to tell her she was ordinary. She is not ordinary, she never was. And this Saturday, she's going to start remembering that. Your daughter is about to become the living proof that God never forgot your family. Every prayer your grandmother prayed that seemed to go unanswered, she's the answer. Every tear your mother cried wondering if the next generation would be different, she's the difference. Every moment you've doubted whether your faithfulness mattered, she's the evidence. And when she rises, and she will rise, people are going to ask what happened. They're going to want to know how someone who was so broken became so whole, how someone who was so lost found her way, how someone who had every reason to quit became unstoppable. And the answer is going to be simple. Saturday came, and everything changed. If you believe this, if something in your spirit just caught fire reading these words, don't keep it hidden. This message isn't just for you. There's another parent out there right now, maybe someone you know, maybe a stranger, who's losing hope for their child. They're wondering if it's too late. They're questioning if God even sees their daughter's pain. And they need to hear this. Share this video. Right now, don't wait, don't second guess it. Let this word reach the one who's been crying out in secret, believing they're the only one. Because when faith connects with faith, miracles multiply. But there's more you need to understand about what's coming. Because this shift doesn't just affect her future, it rewrites your past. And what I'm about to tell you next will show you exactly why Saturday had to be now. Now listen to me carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see your daughter from this moment forward. There are signs, subtle, sacred, easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but they're appearing right now in her life. And if you've been awake these past few nights, if you've been sensing something stirring in the atmosphere around her, it's because heaven is already moving. The shift isn't coming, it's here. And the signs are breaking through like the first crack of dawn before sunrise. Small, yes, but carrying the weight of eternity. You need to watch for them. First, you're going to notice her words. She's going to say something that doesn't match her age, something profound, something that stops you mid-breath and makes you wonder, where did that come from? It won't be rehearsed. It won't be something she read online. It will come from a deeper place, a place she didn't even know existed inside her. That's not coincidence, that's divine download. Her spirit is tapping into a frequency she's never accessed before, and when that happens, the mouth speaks what the soul is receiving. Proverbs 16:23 says, "The heart of the wise teaches his mouth, and adds learning to his lips." Her heart is being taught right now by the Spirit of God, and what comes out of her mouth in the coming days will sound like wisdom beyond her years. Don't dismiss it. Don't chalk it up to maturity or good advice she heard somewhere. This is revelation breaking through flesh. This is heaven speaking through her before she even realizes what's happening. Pay attention. Second, you're going to see a boldness in her that you've never seen before. And here's where most parents get it wrong. You're going to think it's rebellion. You're going to think she's being disrespectful, pushing back, testing boundaries. But I need you to hear me with everything in you right now. That's not rebellion, that's revelation. There's a difference, and if you miss it, you'll fight against the very thing God is doing in her life. When the Holy Spirit awakens purpose in someone, they stop apologizing for who they are. They stop shrinking to make others comfortable. They stop tolerating what used to control them. And if you've spent years watching her bend, watching her people, please, watching her dim her light to fit into spaces that were never meant for her, this boldness is going to feel jarring. But it's not defiance, it's deliverance. Acts 4:13 tells us that when the religious leaders saw the boldness of Peter and John, they realized these were unlearned men who had been with Jesus. The boldness wasn't arrogance, it was authority. And your daughter is about to walk in an authority she's never carried before because she's been in the presence of the one who gives it. Don't mistake her strength for pride. Don't confuse her clarity for rebellion. This is her remembering who she is. And third, this one's going to catch you off guard. You're going to see a peace in her that doesn't make sense. Not the kind of peace that comes from having everything figured out. Not the kind that comes from good news or stable circumstances. This is the kind of peace that exists in the middle of chaos. The kind that shouldn't be there, but is. The kind that makes you tilt your head and ask, how are you so calm right now? That's Philippians 4:7. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Surpasses understanding. That means it can't be explained. It can't be manufactured. It can't be faked. And when you see it resting on her like a blanket in the middle of a storm, you'll know. You'll know that something has shifted in the spiritual realm. You'll know that she's no longer carrying what she used to carry. The weight is lifting, the anxiety is loosening, and in its place, a supernatural calm is settling in. Don't miss these signs, chosen one. Heaven always whispers before it thunders. These aren't accidents. These aren't personality changes or mood swings or phases she's going through. These are clues, breadcrumbs from the divine. God is marking the path, showing you in real time that He's at work. And if you've already seen glimpses of this, if you've already caught yourself stopping mid-conversation with her and thinking, that didn't sound like her, or if you've already noticed a strength in her eyes that wasn't there last month, you're not imagining it. Type "I've seen the signs" in the comments right now. Let heaven know you're paying attention. But here's what I need you to understand. These signs aren't just for observation, they're for discernment. You have a role to play in this. You can't be passive. You can't sit back and hope it all works out. You have to recognize what's happening and speak life into it. You have to call it out, not with correction, but with confirmation. When she speaks that word of wisdom, you affirm it. When she stands in that boldness, you cover it. When that peace rests on her, you protect it. Because the enemy sees the signs too, and he's not going to sit quietly while your daughter steps into her destiny. He's going to send confusion. He's going to plant doubt. He's going to whisper, "It's too good to be true. Don't get your hopes up." She's going to fall back into the same patterns. But you have authority to silence that voice. You have the power to decree and declare over her life that what God has started, He will finish. Philippians 1-6 promises us, "He who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ." It's not on her to finish this. It's not on you to force it. It's on God to complete it. But your agreement matters. Your discernment matters. Your ability to recognize the sacred in the subtle, that's what will carry her through the transition without interference. So I'm asking you right now, are you watching? Are you discerning? Or are you so distracted by your own fears, your own doubts, your own disappointments, that you're missing the miracle unfolding right in front of you? Because this Saturday is coming, and when it arrives, everything I just described is going to accelerate. The words will come faster, the boldness will rise higher, the peace will settle deeper. And if you're not prepared to recognize it for what it is, you'll miss the greatest move of God in your daughter's life that you've ever witnessed. Don't let that happen. The signs are here, the whispers are breaking through, and the thunder is coming. But before the thunder shakes everything loose, there's something you need to understand about why this Saturday matters. Why now? Why her? And why you? You want to know why it's been so hard. You want to know why your daughter has fought battles that other people's children never had to face. Why she's carried weight that crushed girls half as strong. Why every time she tried to rise, something knocked her back down. Let me tell you something that's going to cut through every lie you've believed about her struggle. The enemy saw her before you did. Before she took her first breath, before the doctor placed her in your arms, before you whispered her name for the first time, hell was already plotting. Because demons don't waste ammunition on ordinary lives. They don't mobilize against people who pose no threat. But your daughter, she was marked from the womb. Jeremiah 1-5 says it plainly. "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Set apart, not for comfort, not for an easy road. Set apart for impact, and the enemy knew it. That's why the attack started early. Maybe you remember the signs. The unexplainable sickness when she was young. The way certain people turned on her for no reason. The depression that hit her like a freight train in her teenage years when she should have been full of life. The relationships that destroyed her. The opportunities that fell through. The self-doubt that ate at her like acid. You thought it was bad luck. You thought maybe you failed her as a parent. You blamed yourself for not protecting her enough, not praying hard enough, not being enough. But what if I told you that every single attack was confirmation? Confirmation that she carries something hell cannot afford to let loose. Confirmation that her voice, once fully awakened, will shatter chains on people she hasn't even met yet. Confirmation that her story, once told, will set captives free across this nation. The enemy trembled at her birth, so he tried to bury her under shame. Listen to what Jesus said in John 10:10. "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy." That's not poetry, that's strategy. The thief doesn't break into empty houses. He breaks into houses carrying treasure. And your daughter, she's been carrying treasure her whole life. The enemy has been trying to steal her identity, kill her purpose, and destroy her future before she ever figured out who she really was. But here's what hell didn't count on. You. Every time you prayed when you didn't know what else to do, that disrupted demonic assignments. Every time you stood in faith when fear screamed at you to give up, that blocked the enemy's access. Every tear you cried over her became a weapon in the hands of angels. You weren't just worrying, you were warring. And because you refused to quit, she's still here. Battered, maybe. Scarred, absolutely, but still here. And that's why this Saturday matters, because hell throws storms at ships carrying treasure. You don't send a hurricane after a rowboat. You send it after the vessel that's loaded with gold, heading for shore. Your daughter has been in a storm, yes, but not because she's cursed, because she's cargo, precious cargo. And Saturday is when she reaches the shore. Let me take you deeper. Look at 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. Paul says, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." Does that sound familiar? Hard-pressed, that's been her life. Perplexed, she's questioned everything, struck down more times than you can count. But here's the key: not destroyed. She's still standing. And the fact that she's still standing after everything she's been through is not luck. It's proof. Proof that God's hand has been on her even when she couldn't feel it. Proof that greater is He that is in her than he that is in the world. Proof that Saturday is not just another day, it's a divine reversal. You've watched her spiral. You've seen the darkness in her eyes. You've heard the hopelessness in her voice. And maybe you've wondered if this time she won't make it back. Maybe you've lain awake at night gripping your phone, terrified that the next call will be the one you can't survive. But what if the darkness wasn't the end? What if it was the setup? Think about Lazarus, dead for 4 days, wrapped in burial clothes, sealed in a tomb. Everyone had given up. Even his own sisters said, "Lord, by now he stinks." But Jesus waited. He waited until hope was gone, until doubt had settled in, until everyone believed it was over. And then he spoke 3 words that shattered death itself. "Lazarus, come forth." Your daughter has been in her tomb, and you've been standing outside weeping, wondering if God forgot. But He didn't forget. He was waiting. Waiting for the moment when her resurrection would be so undeniable that no one could credit it to coincidence. Waiting for Saturday. The resistance you've both faced is not punishment, it's prophecy in motion. The stronger the battle, the closer the breakthrough. I need you to hear this. Every argument you've had with her that ended in tears, that was spiritual warfare trying to sever your connection. Every time she pushed you away, that was the enemy trying to isolate her from her covering. Every moment you felt like you were losing her, that was hell trying to convince you to stop fighting. But you didn't stop, and neither did God. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon forged against you will prevail." Not some weapons, not most weapons, no weapon. Every scheme, every trap, every demonic assignment sent to destroy your daughter has failed. And on Saturday, the evidence of that failure will become visible. She's about to walk out of her tomb. And when she does, she won't come out alone. She'll bring others with her. Because that's what resurrection does, it ripples. So let me ask you something. Are you ready? Are you ready to see the daughter you've been praying for finally step into the light? Are you ready to watch the enemy's plans crumble in real time? Are you ready for Saturday? Because Saturday is the day of divine reversal. Saturday is the day when every lie gets exposed. Saturday is the day when your daughter stops running and starts reigning. Write breakthrough in the comments if you believe Saturday will silence every enemy. Write it if you're ready to see hell's schemes dismantled. Write it if you're standing in faith right now, even if your hands are shaking. Because what's coming isn't just change, it's vindication. And you're about to witness it. Chosen one, let me ask you something that might cut deeper than you expect. Have you ever looked at your daughter and wondered why her struggles feel so familiar? Why the pain she carries seems older than her years? Why certain battles in her life echo fights you never told her about, fights your mother faced, fights your grandmother whispered about in the dark? That's not coincidence. That's lineage. Your daughter didn't just inherit your eyes or your smile. She inherited something far more profound. She inherited the spiritual DNA of every woman who came before her, every ancestor who prayed in secret, every grandmother who wept over her children, every great-great-grandmother who called on the name of the Lord when there was no one else to call. And here's what's going to shake you. She is their answer. Listen to me carefully. Your daughter is not just your child. She is the living, breathing response to prayers whispered by voices now in eternity. Prayers you never heard. Prayers spoken in languages you don't remember. Prayers cried out in kitchens, in fields, in the middle of the night when hope seemed impossible. The Bible tells us in Exodus 20:6 that God shows love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. 1,000 generations. That means right now, in this moment, your daughter is walking in the overflow of faithfulness that began long before you were born. She's carrying the answered prayers of women who never lived to see this day but believed it would come. Every tear your grandmother cried watered the soil your daughter now stands on. Think about that. Really let it sink in. Your grandmother, maybe she lost children, maybe she buried dreams, maybe she stayed in a marriage that broke her spirit because she had no other choice. Maybe she worked her fingers to the bone just to keep food on the table. And maybe, just maybe, late at night when everyone else was asleep, she prayed. She didn't have fancy words. She didn't know theology, but she knew God, and she whispered, "Lord, let somebody in my bloodline be free. Let somebody break these chains. Let somebody live the life I couldn't." That somebody is your daughter. And this Saturday, heaven is marking the moment when generational breakthrough stops being a hope and becomes a reality. But let me tell you something that's going to challenge you. Have you ever felt like your family carried invisible chains? Like no matter how hard you tried, certain patterns kept repeating? Financial struggle, broken marriages, depression, addiction, fear. Maybe you've watched it pass from generation to generation and thought, this is just who we are. This is just our lot in life. No, that's what the enemy wanted you to believe. Because as long as you accept those chains as normal, they stay locked. But the moment you recognize them for what they are, spiritual bondage that was never God's design, that's when the breaking begins. And chosen one, this Saturday marks the breaking. Your daughter's awakening is not just her moment, it is the fulfillment of generations. She is stepping into freedom that her great-grandmother prayed for but never saw. She is walking through doors that were locked for your mother but are now swinging wide open. She is carrying a voice that was silenced in previous generations but is now being amplified by heaven itself. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This isn't just about her getting a better job or finding peace or making good decisions. This is about generational deliverance. This is about the curse stopping and the blessing beginning. This is about the enemy losing his grip on a bloodline that he's held captive for far too long. The Apostle Paul said in Galatians 3:13, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. That redemption isn't just personal, it's generational. What Jesus did on the cross didn't just save you, it broke the legal right of the enemy to torment your lineage. But here's the key. Someone has to walk in that freedom. Someone has to say, enough. It ends with me. Your daughter is that someone. And you, chosen one, you are the bridge. You're the one who held the line when everything in you wanted to quit. You're the one who kept praying even when the prayers felt empty. You're the one who refused to let the curse have the final word. And now, this Saturday, you're about to see why you had to hold on. Because when your daughter steps into her destiny, she doesn't just change her own life. She rewrites the story for everyone who comes after her. Her children, her grandchildren, names you'll never know, faces you'll never see. They will all walk in freedom because she broke the cycle. But let me get real with you for a moment. Some of you are sitting there thinking, but you don't know my daughter. You don't know how far she's fallen. You don't know the mistakes she's made. And you're right, I don't. But God does. And He's not surprised, He's not shocked, He's not disappointed. Because He never called her based on her perfection. He called her based on His purpose. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." That promise wasn't just for Jeremiah, it's for your daughter, it's for your bloodline, it's for every generation that's been waiting for this moment. And this Saturday, it all comes together. Now, I want you to do something that might feel uncomfortable, but is deeply powerful. In the comments right now, I want you to type the names of your ancestors, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, anyone in your lineage who prayed, who believed, who held on even when it looked impossible. Type their names as seeds of remembrance. Let heaven see that you honor the foundation they laid. Let your daughter know she's not starting from scratch, she's standing on the shoulders of giants. Because this isn't just her story, this is their story finally reaching its climax. This is the moment when everything they believed for becomes visible. This is the Saturday when chains break, when curses lift, when the enemy loses his grip, and when your daughter steps fully into who she was always meant to be. And you get to witness it. Chosen one, I need you to stay with me now. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't theory, it isn't poetry. It's truth written in the unseen realm before your daughter ever took her first breath. This Saturday isn't just about transformation, it's about remembrance. Let me say that again so it settles deep. This Saturday, your daughter's soul is going to remember who she was before the world told her who to be, before the pain named her, before the rejection shaped her, before the confusion clouded her. She's going to remember the blueprint, the original design written in eternity before time ever started ticking. And here's what's going to shake you. You've seen glimpses of it already, haven't you? Those moments when she said something that seemed beyond her years. Those flashes of wisdom that didn't come from experience but from somewhere deeper. Those times when her eyes looked distant, like she was reaching for something just out of view. That wasn't coincidence. That was her soul straining against the veil, trying to remember. But the veil has been thick, heavy, woven by trauma, disappointment, fear, and the voices of a world that never understood her frequency. She's been walking through life, feeling like a stranger in her own skin, wondering why nothing ever felt quite right, why she's always felt different. And maybe you've watched her struggle with that, helpless, praying in the middle of the night, God, please, just let her see who she really is. Listen to me. Your prayers didn't fall on deaf ears. They've been accumulating, building, waiting for the appointed time. And that time is Saturday. Jeremiah 1-5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart." Not after she was born, not when she got saved, not when she turned her life around. Before her first cry, before her first heartbreak, before her first mistake. God knew her, set her apart, marked her. And that mark has never faded, even when she couldn't see it, even when the world tried to erase it. What's happening this Saturday is a tearing, a ripping away of everything false. It's as if a veil is being torn from top to bottom, just like the temple veil when Jesus died, and light is about to flood what's been hidden, the real her, the eternal her, the chosen her. Your daughter has been living in a fog, but the sun is breaking through, and when it does, everything she thought she knew about herself will be rewritten by what she remembers. Can you feel it, chosen one? Even now, as I'm speaking, can you feel the atmosphere shifting around her life? That's not your imagination. That's the veil beginning to lift. The realm of the Spirit doesn't wait for permission. It moves when heaven says move, and heaven is moving now. But here's the part that's going to wreck you in the most beautiful way. This isn't about her becoming someone new. It's about her finally becoming who she has always been. You see, the enemy's greatest trick wasn't making her doubt God. It was making her doubt herself, making her believe she was ordinary when she was marked, making her believe she was broken when she was chosen, making her believe she was too far gone when God never let go of her blueprint. Ephesians 2:10 declares, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Prepared in advance, before she stumbled, before she fell, before she lost her way. The works were already prepared, the path was already laid, the purpose was already written. She just couldn't see it through the veil. But Saturday, the veil tears. And when it does, she's going to look at her life, and suddenly things will make sense that never made sense before. The pain will have meaning, the detours will have purpose, the waiting will have reason. She'll see that she wasn't wandering, she was being positioned. She wasn't lost, she was being refined. She wasn't forgotten, she was being prepared. I need you to understand something that's going to change how you see her from this moment forward. Your daughter isn't damaged goods. She's a masterpiece under restoration. She's not a mistake. She's a mission. She's not too late. She's right on time. And the reason I keep saying Saturday is because timing matters in the kingdom. God doesn't just do things, he does them at appointed times. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Her season of confusion is ending. Her season of remembrance is beginning, and you get to witness it. Now here's what I need you to do, and this is not symbolic, this is spiritual. I need you to whisper her name out loud right now. Say it softly, say it with reverence. Say it like you're calling her soul back to its original design. Go ahead, whisper it. Do you feel that? That's agreement. That's you partnering with heaven. That's you saying, "Yes, God, I receive the tearing of the veil. I receive the remembrance. I receive the awakening." Because chosen one, she's not going to do this alone. She's going to need you to see her clearly when the world still sees her through old lenses. She's going to need you to remind her of who she is when the old voices try to creep back in. She's going to need your faith to hold steady when hers is still catching up to the revelation. This Saturday, the veil lifts, the light floods in, and your daughter steps into the remembrance of who she was created to be before the foundation of the world. But the question pressing on us now is this: what happens after the veil lifts? What does she do with this remembrance? And how do you walk alongside her in this new dimension of her calling? Because once the veil is torn, there's no going back, only forward. And what's coming next is going to require both of you to be ready for a level of spiritual warfare and blessing you've never experienced before. Stay with me. We're not done yet, chosen one. As we come to the end of this word, I need you to carry 3 eternal truths with you, like sacred stones in your pocket. First, this Saturday is not just another day on the calendar. It is a divine appointment, a tearing of the veil, a moment when your daughter's soul remembers who she was before the world tried to name her. And you are not a bystander in this. You are the bridge. Your prayers built the runway for her breakthrough. Second, everything you've been through with her, every sleepless night, every unanswered question, every moment you felt helpless, it wasn't wasted. Not one tear, not one whispered prayer at 3 in the morning. Heaven collected every single one, and now they're being poured out as favor, as clarity, as remembrance. Third, what's coming isn't just about her becoming better, it's about her becoming whole. The version of her that God designed before time began is waking up. And when she wakes up, everything around her has to shift to make room for who she really is. But here's what I need you to hear in the deepest part of your spirit. You are not alone in this. Even right now, as you sit there feeling the weight of these words, God is still working, still moving, still orchestrating. He hasn't forgotten your daughter's name, and He hasn't forgotten yours. The same God who spoke light into darkness is speaking breakthrough into her life right now. And beyond that, you have a family here. Thousands of believers who understand what it's like to carry a burden for someone you love. We see you, we feel you, and we are standing with you in prayer. This isn't just a YouTube channel, this is a community of faith, and you belong here. Let me ask you this, and let it settle deep. If God has brought you this far, if He's held you through every storm, every doubt, every dark season, why would He abandon you now, right at the edge of breakthrough? He wouldn't, and He won't. Before you go, I want you to do something. Drop a comment below. Tell us your daughter's name. Share what God is doing in your heart right now. Ask us to pray with you. Because when we come together in agreement, heaven moves. Matthew 18:20 says, "Where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them." We are gathering right now, and God is here. And if this message stirred something in your soul, share it. Send it to another parent who's struggling. Forward it to someone who needs to hear that their prayers are not in vain. Because somewhere out there, there's a mother, a father, sitting alone at their kitchen table wondering if God still hears them. And this word might be exactly what breaks through their doubt. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell, because what we're building here is more than content, it's a movement of awakening. And you're part of it. Thank you for staying with me through this entire message. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words pierce through the noise, for trusting that maybe, just maybe, this Saturday really is different. Your faithfulness to watch until the very end tells me everything I need to know about your heart. You're ready, she's ready, and heaven is already moving. Now, before you close this video, join me in prayer. Wherever you are, sitting in your living room, lying in bed, parked in your car, I want you to feel this. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath. And let me speak over your life and over your daughter's life with the authority of someone who has seen God move mountains. Father God, creator of heaven and earth, the one who knew us before we were formed, I come before you now carrying every parent, every chosen one who has watched this message. Lord, they are tired, they are weary, they have carried burdens that no one else can see. But you see them, you know their names, you've counted every tear. God, I lift up their daughters to you right now. Every girl, every woman who has felt lost, confused, forgotten, I speak life over her. I speak clarity. I speak remembrance. This Saturday, Lord, let the veil be torn. Let her soul awaken to who she was created to be. Let every chain fall. Let every lie shatter. Let every wound heal. Let her see herself the way you see her, chosen, marked, beloved, unstoppable. Father, I pray for these parents. Give them strength to hold steady when the shift begins. Give them wisdom to know when to speak and when to listen. Give them faith that doesn't waver when circumstances don't immediately make sense. Remind them that their prayers have been building a foundation, and now that foundation is about to bear fruit. Surround this family with your presence. Post angels at every door. Silence every voice that speaks confusion. Cancel every assignment of the enemy. And let your peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding, guard their hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. I speak breakthrough over finances, over relationships, over health, over every area that has felt under attack. What the enemy meant for evil, you are turning for good. What was stolen is being restored. What was delayed is now accelerating. What looked impossible is bowing to your power. Lord, let them feel you right now. Not as a distant concept, but as a real, present, loving Father who is closer than their next breath. Let them know they are not alone. Let them know their story is not over. Let them know that Saturday is not just a date, it's a divine encounter. In the mighty name of Jesus, who tore the veil so we could access the Father, I seal this prayer. Let your will be done in their lives. Let heaven invade earth. Let breakthrough become their testimony. Amen. Chosen one, go in peace, go in power. Go with the unshakable confidence that this Saturday everything changes. Not because of luck, not because of timing, but because heaven has spoken, and what heaven declares, no force in hell can stop. You are loved, you are seen, and you are not alone. Until we meet again, walk in faith. Your daughter's breakthrough is already in motion. God bless you mightily.